Okay, today I am going to be planting in my pollinator garden, and I'm doing this for the bees and the butterflies. So I'm going to do it an easy way today with seed, and I'm direct sowing this seed right into the pollinator garden. So I set this up right as soon as I set up my kitchen garden space. I knew I wanted a place for flowers and a place to bring in the butterflies and the birds and all the good stuff into my kitchen garden. So while my kitchen garden's super formal, this space isn't quite as fancy. So I'm going to give you another tour. I'll give you a little video of everything that's planted here. I have a mix of perennials and evergreens, and then to give like some structure to the garden. And then I love to bring in annual flowers as well. So today I'm going to show you how to plant for the bees and the butterflies in your pollinator garden and doing it directly from seed. So I actually bought a few different mixes, all from Botanical Interest. This one that I'm going to plant with you today is called Flower Mix, Bring Home the Butterflies. So this is a wide variety mix. I think there's probably 15 different seeds, maybe 20 different seeds in here. So we have parsley, blazing star, borage, balsam, cosmos, calendula, Mexican sunflower, verbena, Rocky Mountain bee plant, lemon, mint, sneezeweed. Have you ever grown sneezeweed? Well, I guess I'm about to. And sweet alyssum. So such a wide variety. I know not everything's going to do great all at once, but it's really fun to try. And I thought this would just be a great way. So let me show you the other two packages I also got. So this one is called Save the Bees. So somewhat similar mix. It's got borage, sunflower, cilantro, Siberian wallflower, coreopsis, zinnia, basil, you know, quite a wide variety. Black-eyed Susan, goldenrod, and lavender hyssop. So some things that I actually already have in the garden. So this one is supposed to be more for bees. And then they even have this one for hummingbirds. What? So you'll see a lot. One of the things I love about looking at these mixes is you get to see what kinds of plants attract certain bees or butterflies or birds. So this one has larkspur, butterfly weed, zinnia, hollyhock, lupine, nasturtium, flowering tobacco, coral bells, etc. So one of what I would recommend if you can do is for these to be finding them from a native plant source. So more locally based. So I bought these from Botanical Interest. I know and trust their brand, but what's even better is these are all open pollinated and untreated. So I know that at least the bees and butterflies and birds aren't going to be, you know, being exposed to stuff that I don't want them to be exposed to. But what would be even better is for me to be growing wildflowers or things that were grown locally for me. So for me in the Chicago area, finding something local to me. When I lived in Houston, I bought from this wildflower company. I think they were called Wild Seeds in like the Austin, Texas area. So, so I'm trying, you know, actually looking at both the backs, I think I'm going to do the Save the Bees instead of the butterflies because it looks like they have more warmer weather flowers. So I can probably do both, and I probably will do both. So here's the fun, easy thing about planting these seeds is you don't have to be specific about it. So if you've done like cut flower farming or, you know, where you're trying to grow peonies or dahlias or things like that. I love Florette. If you don't follow her, she's amazing. And I've taken her course and all that stuff, and it's awesome to do flower farming, but this is not that, right? So this is more wild and it's more just for nature. So you don't have to worry about everything being perfectly spaced or, you know, ready to be cut for a bouquet. So super awesome, crazy, variety of seeds here. So let me show you what they look like. You can see the sunflower seeds. I can see the coreopsis there. The black ones are the sunflower seeds. The little balls are the cilantro. I see zinnia seeds right there, those little triangular ones. The little coreopsis, the cosmos. You can see so many varieties here. So believe it or not, these are just going to be raked in to basically the top of the soil. They will need to get watered in, and the birds will eat these seeds. So you have to keep them watered, and I do cover them just a little bit, but you're going to be shocked to see how easy you can plant these. So usually you want to plant these, if you're in a colder climate, I like to plant them say 2-3 weeks before my average last frost date, which I'm coming up on in the Chicago area. We're already there actually. And then if you're in a warmer climate, these could be sown in the fall. So when I was in Houston, when I would grow like native plant areas, I would plant all my seeds like October-ish for a spring bloom. So, okay, so actually, you know, the really fun thing that I'm going to do is, and their recommendation is to just even shake the package, but I'm gonna mix this up with some sand. So the nice thing about mixing this with some coarse sand is I'm going to be able to better tell where the seed has been planted, and it will also help to spread the seed a little bit better. So here in this container I have just some coarse sand, just like you would get from like a, you know, hardware store or something like that. And this is what I'm going to use to help me spread my seeds, and also to know better how, you know, which places have had seed spread there. So I'm just going to take like a handful of seed, and then I'm going to take like a handful of sand. And you could do this all at once. The problem I did is I actually put too much sand in here, but I'm going to take a handful of sand and a handful of seed, and then I'm just going to kind of mix them together. And I'm going to start here at the back of my garden space, and I'm just going to kind of lightly shake it over the space, just like that. So the beautiful part of this is it's very clear. A lot of these seeds are, you know, hard to see once they've been planted, but because I'm using sand like that, I can tell every part of the garden that has been planted so far. So then I'm going to get another little handful, get another handful of sand, and do the same thing further down the row. Now, we filled this area in with mulch recently, and mulch is not, you know, necessarily ideal for planting seeds. It's going to keep them from touching the soil. So I tried to kind of hoe back a little bit of the mulch, but that may present an issue for the growth. So we'll just see. Last year, I put compost here and had a lot of success. I grew a ton of zinnias from seed, but it was also super messy and super muddy. So we did mulch instead, so it'll be an interesting experiment to see how things grow. So I've almost used about half this package. The package is super generous with the amount of seed that it gives. So I'm going to spread this here in the front. And now I can see that I've done a nice, pretty even row. See how the sand just makes it so clear what's been planted? Then I'm going to take my little rake. So I have just a little hand rake. Like I said, you don't really want to, you don't really want this to go too deep, but I just like to take my rake and just kind of gently, you know, touch it so that make sure that everything's kind of touching the soil here, or the mulch as it is. Everything's having a little bit of contact, and hopefully it won't all get eaten by the birds because I have a lot of birds kind of prancing around in here looking for food. So that's the deal. So what we'll do over like right away, I'm going to water this in really heavily. I mean, not too heavily. You don't want it to disperse the seed, but I'll make sure that it gets nice and wet. And then really over the first 2 weeks, that's when you want to watch the water the most, getting to the seedling point. And then as they start to grow, it's really nice because you have coverage basically over that entire area, so you don't end up needing to water a lot because the plants kind of take care of each other. I did obviously very intensively plant these plants, so I may end up I will have to come in and prune a little bit to make sure everything has the space that it needs. but I basically used one, like a foot wide space, and went about, I don't know, this is probably about 12 feet deep. So I did about 12 square feet of garden, and I'll do the same on this side as well. So it'll be fun to see how the seeds come up. You'll have to stay tuned to see how the pollinator garden grows in. So just for reference, this is April, late April, actually the last week of April here in the Chicago area. So stay tuned to see how the pollinator garden grows in, and check out my other videos. I have a lot of videos on the pollinator garden from last season, last year actually. So you can see what this thing looks like when it's all grown in. I'll link to some of those videos below. All right, so that concludes today's video all about planting for the bees. That's who we ended up planting for. But you know, the cool thing is when you plant for bees, the butterflies and the hummingbirds show up too. Thanks so much for watching. I have tons of resources to keep you growing in your own kitchen garden. So check those out below, including my book, Kitchen Garden Revival. Kitchen Garden Revival has been out for over a year now, or almost a year. And the point is to bring you step by step to set up your own raised bed kitchen garden. So check out the book below and stay tuned and subscribe so you can watch my pollinator garden grow in this year. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.